Hello and welcome to On Air. I'm Klara Syrewicz, and over the next 20 minutes, I'll bring you the stories behind the headlines, and later on in our report, we'll focus on the use of AI in politics. Some things in life are unavoidable, like having to eat or not being able to shut yourself off from news of Donald Trump. With the US elections heating up and set to be the tightest contest in US history, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are fighting for every vote. Like a political thriller, polls are constantly shifting, with some early signs that Mrs. Harris might be gaining momentum, while former President Trump's support continues to hover around 46%. Maybe it's the magic of emotional blackmail, since Trump said this week that it was our last chance to vote for him because, and this may come as a surprise considering he's only 78, he won't be a candidate in the next election. So it's a case of either marry me now or you'll never see me again. Because this election hinges on a few undecided voters, ethnic groups in key electoral states have suddenly become incredibly important. And hence the often divided Polish-American community is being wooed by both Trump and Harris. Mrs. Harris is blasting a rallying cry for our freedom and yours, appealing to American voters who support Poland's stance on Ukraine.
And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Meanwhile, Mr. Trump, who had suggested he could end the war in Ukraine in 2 days, claimed last week, without any evidence, that he had, in fact, prevented it from happening once by talking Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping out of attacking Ukraine and Taiwan, respectively.
I said, don't do it, Vladimir. Don't even think. We're not going to do it, Vladimir. I said, Vladimir, we're not going to do that, Vladimir. And China, I had the same, almost identical conversation with President Xi of China. Don't go in. Don't go in. He's got planes circling Taiwan. They're circling. He wants that so badly.
Ending 2 major conflicts with a phone call, bam, and done. It sounds so easy, yet why are the United Nations delegates fretting so much? This week, global leaders gathered at the UN General Assembly against the backdrop of mounting violence in the Middle East, Sudan and Ukraine. The UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, has presented an ambitious pact for the future, adopted after grueling negotiations, hoping to usher in a new system of global governance to counter those crises. But since its start, the mood at the Assembly has been riddled with squabbles. Russia made a surprising and diplomatically clumsy move to derail the pact's adoption. Its motion was rejected 143-7, underlining Moscow's very limited support, with only the usual besties towing the party line, notably Belarus, Venezuela, Syria and Iran. The faux pas was further accentuated when the Russian delegate was told off by the British Foreign Secretary for using his phone.
But I say to the Russian representative, on his phone as I speak.
Poor guy was probably reporting live to Mr. Putin, who is pursued by international criminal warrants and risks arrest if he shows up at the UN. As ridiculous as it sounds, this situation is very depressing. If the president of a country with a permanent seat on the UN Security Council is on a wanted list and uses this pulpit to threaten the world with nuclear holocaust, that doesn't bode well for any future UN negotiations. Council members aren't just powerless in conflict resolution, they're actively or indirectly taking part in those conflicts. So is the UN too broken to be fixed, and could a barely adopted and non-binding pact for the future repair that? But at least on the sidelines of the summit, romance was in the air, with Giorgia Meloni receiving, to great controversy, this year's Atlantic Council Award. She was introduced at the ceremony by Elon Musk, whom she later called Precious Genius, to which the Precious Genius replied that she was as beautiful on the inside as on the outside. Let's pause here for a moment and imagine how it would sound if, say, Laureen Powell Jobs, one of the wealthiest and most powerful women in Silicon Valley, introduced Emmanuel Macron and said something like, The strength and firmness of his character is matched only by his biceps. And why is no one commenting on the alpha manliness of Olaf Scholz, who just pulled a life-saving election number in Brandenburg this past week? I'll tell you why. Because it's not really relevant to the work they do. In any case, let's go back to the precious genius, who was broadly condemned recently for reposting a deepfake video of Kamala Harris on his X account, leading to a general outcry about the use of AI technology in political contexts. And if you want to know more about that, stay with us for this report.
Artificial intelligence has become the new political frontier, where deception and derision sway political support and impact governance.
Hi, my name is Yuval Noah Harari.
In his latest book, Nexus, Israeli philosopher goes as far as to call AI alien intelligence.
AI, even in today's form, can be a tool that can harm someone effectively. And I think this is something that the regulations should tackle. This is something we should be worried about and, raise awareness of.
AI is set to affect every aspect of our lives, including democratic processes. Speaking on condition of anonymity, an official from the US Office of the Director of National Intelligence revealed that AI-generated content from Moscow appears to align with Russia's ongoing efforts to bolster Donald Trump's candidacy while undermining Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party. This includes pushing conspiracy theories. During the Democratic primaries, an AI-generated robocall spread misinformation about voting, leading to state criminal charges against the person responsible. To prevent more situations like these, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed 3 new bills regulating the use of AI in elections, focusing on campaign ads and public communications. The use of deepfakes has also been frequent in the ongoing US elections. Here's an example, a parody video of Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris.
Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence.
Another piece of deepfake content featuring Kamala Harris has raised eyebrows, prompting discussions about misinformation and digital ethics. Donald Trump shared on his Truth Social platform a manipulated photo of his rival, Kamala Harris, alongside Sean Diddy Combs. The image implies the vice president attended one of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. However, the original image shows Harris with her former partner Montel Williams and his daughter at a 2001 Race to Erase multiple sclerosis event.
So, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit.
Deep fakes have been making waves for years, but the issue grabbed global attention in April 2018 when BuzzFeed, alongside filmmaker Jordan Peele, released a manipulated video of former President Barack Obama using widely accessible software.
Well, you can actually see, if you look closely enough and use the right kind of tools, changes in the coloration based on the pulse of someone's blood flowing through their skin. Those don't occur in deepfake videos, so that's one telltale sign. Another one is, a lot of the deepfake videos, the people don't blink.
Here's an example of a potentially catastrophic deepfake, purportedly showing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling on Ukrainians to lay down their weapons. This video was circulated in the first weeks of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. If it had been made more carefully and lifelike, it could have drastically changed the course of the armed conflict. AI has also proven capable of misinforming the public about electoral procedures. Soon after Joe Biden dropped out from the presidential race, X's chatbot Grok began informing users that a new candidate could not take the president's place. In reality, the deadline had not elapsed, and Kamala Harris still had plenty of time to get her name on the ballot. A group of election officials wrote to the platform and its founder Elon Musk, asking to have the chatbot direct users to a trusted non-partisan voting information site. When a small group entertains dubious, if not destructive beliefs, the outreach of their message can easily be amplified with the use of bots. They spread the narrative and multiply it, creating a feeling that many individuals endorse the belief. That's why it's called an echo chamber. Indifferent social media users, or even ones with opposing opinions, are pulled into the bubble, where they hear and see the same opinion repeated over and over. Some of them begin to have doubts or are swayed by the barrage of regurgitated talking points. If the bots were taken out of the picture, a significantly smaller number of people would interact with a dubious belief, let alone end up adopting it. To be fair, the use of AI in the political process isn't unquestionably negative. In the southern Brazilian city of Porto Alegre, less than a year ago, city councillors passed a resolution written by ChatGPT. The technology assisted in drafting a law on water meters, ensuring accurate water usage and efficient resource management for the city. The key problem here was not with the author or the quality of the legislation, but the fact that the lawmaker presenting the resolution didn't inform council members about it before he submitted it to their vote. Some policymakers in Europe also resort to AI.
Coming here, I thought I would ask ChatGPT what I should say about artificial intelligence, and it gave me this answer. I suggest you to highlight the importance of responsible AI development and usage. You could talk about the potential benefits of AI in improving efficiency and solving complex problems, but also address concerns around privacy, bias and job displacement.
The European Union has developed the AI Act, the world's first major regulation to manage risk and develop lawful use of AI based on the bloc's values of privacy and human rights. Creating a legal framework for AI is also a pressing matter at this week's United Nations General Assembly. In his recent opening speech, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres emphasised that the world was moving towards turbulence and a period of transition, where artificial intelligence use needed to be globally regulated. As outlined in the ratified Pact for the Future, governments as well as private companies would also contribute to an international AI fund, allowing developing nations to benefit from advances in the technology.
Welcome back. We have John Todd with us this week. Hello, John. Great to see you. We're going to start with politicians and deep fakes, because I remember this deep fake of Jeremy Corbyn and former Prime Minister Boris Johnson endorsing each other during elections. And that was a way, actually, for the organization that produced these videos, it was a way to attract their attention to the problem of deepfakes in politics. So I'm not sure if they reacted to that, but do you know what has been done ever since?
Well, we saw Corbyn and we saw Johnson cozying up apparently in some sort of deepfake image. But there we are. I mean, and you really wouldn't expect there to be much love lost between the two of them, but it did highlight this issue. And frankly, this was a number of years ago, and it's only got worse since then. I mean, the amount of material out there is enormous. You don't have to go very far before you can trip up on an image of Donald Trump riding around on a cat firing guns and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm not saying that memes that are obviously a parody are one thing. It's quite another when AI is used to deceive. Joe Biden's a frequent target, Nancy Pelosi, all these high-level ranking politicians. Nancy Pelosi, when she was a speaker, was seen apparently drunk in office giving a speech. But it was all a fake. It was just a deep fake video. As soon as that was realised, it was taken down. However, it had been viewed by millions.
Exactly. So the damage was done already. So there is legislation being put forth in the United States, I guess, within the European Union, obviously. But what is China doing, I wonder, because China has been famous for wanting to control technology and even internet traffic. They managed to censor the internet partially. And now they want to rein in AI. Are they doing better than us in that regard?
Not yet, but that remains to be seen. At the moment, I mean, you know, famously, President Xi Jinping has banned Winnie the Pooh images because he was sick of being compared to this lovable Sussex, fictitious character. So internet controls are very tight in China. You know, don't be fooled by anything else. But at the moment, they're looking to find their feet in terms of AI generation. They proposed setting up the promotion of a global AI governance initiative that's signed up. You know, we've got a number of other countries they're cooperating with. They've signed up to the Bletchley Declaration, which focuses on frontier AI systems and looking to make those safe. But I think part of this is looking at playing catch-up with America, which is far ahead in terms of AI generation. China's got lots of specialists, but it wants to make sure it doesn't get left behind. And eventually, it wants to make sure that it can control it and doesn't suffer from AI-generated content.
So it's not just governments trying to regulate AI, but also, I guess, companies and individuals have an interest in that because companies have been defrauded of millions through voice cloning. Obviously, actors have been protesting for years because their images have been used in video games and other things. So what are the tools that law enforcement has right now to counter these kinds of situations?
Yeah, we've seen lots of AI deepfake stuff. I'm looking at Scarlett Johansson there. Her voice was, apparently her voice was used in ChatGPT. We've seen AI-generated material fed on thousands of authors, including Stephen King and other top-ranking authors, who've said that their material is simply being swallowed up. But in terms of crime is where it's really going to have a big impact. And we've been talking about the political sphere where people's opinions could be swayed, but criminals are set to make something like an estimated $40 billion simply from AI crime by 2027. It's a huge amount of money. I mean, earlier this year, there was an unsuspecting finance worker in Hong Kong who was duped into paying out $25 million simply through a faked AI call. The criminals have picked up some publicly available video footage. He thought he was on a call with his chief financial officer and some other participants, all of whom were AI faked. Press the button, bang, 25 million gone. It's an extraordinary thing, and it's really only going to grow.
But I guess you don't have to be a famous actress or even a big company to be fooled, because recent data shows that on the social platform X, there's been such an increase of fake accounts that it's even more than when Elon Musk was acquiring Twitter and decided not to do that because, as he said, his initial acquisition of Twitter was delayed because he said that there are too many fake accounts. How can users, individual users, defend themselves from being preyed upon like that?
Yeah, you cited Elon Musk. I mean, he was walking away from his deal to buy then Twitter and said it was full of fake content. What on earth are we doing that? There's no value in it. And now the Twitter, the X that we see now, I mean, has fake accounts have proliferated. Reuters did some recent analysis and found that of the accounts that praised Donald Trump and criticised the Democrats, something like 15% are fake. Users have to look at trusted news sources. I mean, there's lots of work going on at the moment in order to fingerprint images, look at joins, look at pixel differences, look at voice patterns to try and pick this stuff out and identify fake material. But Microsoft are saying their approach daily because of ways around this. I mean, The Economist puts it very well. They say in the arms race between generation and detection, it favours the forgers. Really, I think it's going to be down to trusted sources. So seeing is no longer believing, but you've got to make sure that you trust the people who are supplying your news. You can't just look at the internet and go, oh, that's lovely, I believe that.
No, you have to look at TVP World and have some media literacy. Thank you very much, John.
Pleasure.
And I also hope to see you next week when we'll be talking about the aftermath of floods in Europe. Thank you for watching.